This is one of those stories that unfolds far, far away from the roar of the racetrack. It's a story about family, about incredible sacrifice, and ultimately about the unimaginable loss behind one of NASCAR's biggest stars, Denny Hamlin. On December 28th, everything changed for Denny Hamlin. A fire at his parents' home in North Carolina took the life of his father, Dennis, and left his mother, Mary Lou, fighting for her own. It's the kind of heartbreak that has absolutely nothing to do with wins or losses on a Sunday afternoon.
But to really, truly understand just how deep this loss cuts, you have to know the foundation his entire career was built on. It's a story of a family that risked absolutely everything they had for their son's dream.
And that journey, that sacrifice, it started long, long before he was ever a household name. It started with a family that just refused to let his dream die. In Denny's own words, the risk was just immense. This wasn't just about supporting a kid's hobby. This was an all-in gamble on their son's talent and his drive, a gamble that would literally define their entire family's future.
Just think about the contrast here. His parents had normal, hardworking jobs, right? His dad ran a hitch store, his mom worked at AAA. But they were trying to fund a dream in the world of motorsports, where the costs for things like engines, tires, and especially crash repairs are just astronomical. The gap between what they earned and what their son needed, it was massive.
And they filled that gap with pretty much everything they had. As Denny himself explained, those regular jobs could only take him so far. So they refinanced the family home again and again and again, just pouring that money directly into his racing career to get him beyond those local tracks. And all of that sacrifice, all that risk, it was all building to one single moment. After a seriously impressive test, Denny caught the eye of the late J.D. Gibbs. He was fast-tracked right into Joe Gibbs Racing, one of NASCAR's absolute powerhouse teams. The family's huge bet had finally paid off.
That success was really the culmination of their dream. But it's what makes the events of December 28th, the day that dream turned into an absolute nightmare, that much more tragic. The timeline from that day is just chilling. By the time the fire department got there, the house was already almost half consumed by flames. Inside, they found both of Denny's parents with what officials could only describe as catastrophic injuries. Tragically, his father, Dennis, couldn't be saved. His mother, Mary, was rushed to a specialized burn center to fight for her life. And you have to understand, this wasn't just any house. This was a 3,724 square foot home that Denny had built for his parents back in 2015. After they had sacrificed their own financial security and refinanced their own home for him, he turned around and gave them their dream home. That context just makes this whole tragedy even more heartbreaking. So, as for what caused it, well, right now, the cause of the fire is still unknown. The damage to the house was so bad, it's made the investigation incredibly difficult. But authorities are still working to figure out exactly what happened. But beyond the racing, and even beyond the tragedy, this story is ultimately about something so much deeper. It's about the bonds between a father and his son. What makes this so poignant is the timing. This all happened just weeks after Denny Hamlin was right in the middle of a championship battle. He even called it his best shot at a title in 20 years, and he was desperate to win it for his father, who he knew was battling a serious illness. Denny really felt like it might be his last chance to give his dad that victory. Denny didn't win that championship, but what he shared later, it reveals this incredible, deeper truth. His father, Dennis, already saw him as a champion, no matter what happened on the track. You see, the real victory, after all that sacrifice, was simply getting to see his son live out his dream. And it just leaves you with this powerful question. In a world that is so obsessed with trophies and titles, what's the true measure of a champion? Is it about what they win on the track, or is it about the sacrifice they inspire and the love they earn along the way?